Well, we are in part 3 of this series, Let's Go, and we are living in a day and age right now where comfort is everywhere. We have refrigerators that make ice for us. We have Instant Pots that instantly makes food for us. We have air fryers that speed up the cooking process. I have a thermostat that's on my phone that I can control the temperature in our house wherever I am. I have devices plugged into smart plugs where all I have to do is say, Alexa, turn on, and fans turn on, lights turn on. In fact, my bike trainer and my treadmill both have fans, and all I have to do is say, Alexa, run fan on, or Alexa, bike fan on. And all of a sudden, those fans turn on. I tell you, we have comfort everywhere. I mean, we got TV remote controls. We don't have to leave the chair. I grew up without remote controls. Well, we had one that was like a 6-foot cord, so you had to be really close to the TV to use a remote. But right now, we can comfort everywhere. This week was the Amazon big Prime Day deals. I typed comfort in the Amazon search bar, and one of the first products that popped up, over 70,000 products actually surfaced in the search. But one of the first ones was Cottonelle Ultra Comfort toilet paper. Right next to this image was the description, Cottonelle Ultra Comfort toilet paper with cushiony cleaning ripples. I mean, all of our tushes would love cushiony cleaning ripples, right? Like that sounds, wow. One of the next products that I saw was this product. This is a bunion corrector. I don't know, but here was the description. The toe straightener brace designed to relieve bunion discomfort and built-in night bunion correctors for resting comfort. And hallux valgus support. I didn't even Google hallux valgus support. But hey, if you want bunion comfort during the night, this device is for you. Then I saw this smiling lady. I mean, she's a doctor. She has a stethoscope on, and she has this ear cleaner in her ear. And next to this picture was this description. Safe. Well, she's a doctor, so it's safe. Comfortable. She's smiling, so it must be comfortable. And easy to use, seamless one-hand operation. Well, she's using one hand. Well, before the Prime Day started, this is Sunday evening, Monday morning, I had opened up Amazon to order something else, and I saw this product in our cart. It hadn't been purchased, but it was in our cart. And I'm like, what in the world is that? So I clicked on it, and well, it's the Hand Pro, keyword, finger massager for deep tissue comfort. And I said to myself, who in the world in my family is about to spend money on a finger massager? I'm like, no way. And then right away, I know who. It had to be my wife. So I took a screenshot of this. I literally sent this text to my wife, Kim. I said, this is in our Amazon cart. And the answer is no. I'm like, we're not buying a finger massager. Well, she quickly fired a text back, and she said, good morning. I must say I'm a tad offended that you think I would purchase this. It's definitely our oldest. She threw our oldest daughter right underneath the bus. I mean, she didn't take 1 second to think about it. She was like, nope, it's Kiera. Then 2 minutes later, she texts me, oh, wait, I didn't look at the pic. Yes, that was mine. I just started laughing. I'm like, I knew it was yours. I knew. But then she gave the reason, the excuse. She goes, but be proud of me. I did not order it because I was waiting to see what my doctor said. And when I found out that it's definitely not going to be fixed by the Hand Pro finger massager, I did not order it. So that's a win. I guess it's a win somewhere. But there's something within all of us that we want comfort. I mean, it's why over 70,000 items on Amazon. I mean, just the word comfort is included in the description. We want comfort in our relationships. We want comfort in our jobs, in our businesses. We want comfort when it comes to our spiritual journey. But what I've discovered, both practically in my life and reading all these stories in the Bible, is, well, when it comes to our spiritual journey, it's filled with a lot of discomfort. And in fact, it's in the discomfort that God works the best to mold us, to shape us. It's in the discomfort that God is able to kind of press into us and get us headed the right direction. It's in the discomfort of our spiritual journey that we have to rely on God, that our faith grows, our faith stretches. It's in the discomfort that we learn what it's truly to be like to follow a holy, perfect, Heavenly Father. And when we realize it's the discomfort that emerges in our story, your story and my story, instead of trying to shove that discomfort away, instead of trying to ignore that discomfort in a story, my encouragement is for us to embrace that discomfort, because again, it's in the discomfort moments of our story that God shows up and shows off in such a powerful way. Well, in this series, Let's Go, we've been in the book, a very small book in the Old Testament called Ruth. It's a story about a young woman named Ruth. It's a story about an older woman named Naomi and a gentleman named Boaz. And where we started in part one was that Naomi specifically she was facing tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. In fact, she lost her husband and her 2 sons. One of those sons was married to Ruth. And so Ruth found herself choosing to serve Naomi selflessly. That Ruth chose to look at Naomi and say, hey, where you go, I'll go. Where you live, I will live. Where you die, I will die. Your God will become my God. And so Ruth gives her life in service to Naomi, and specifically when it came to just survival, as 2 widowed women living in a world ran by men. Ruth decides to go glean in the fields, basically to pick up scraps, just so she could have food to eat. And when Ruth finally one day goes, because Naomi finally says to her, yeah, go, Ruth meets a guy named Boaz. A guy that protected her, a guy that looked out for Ruth, a guy that generously gave to Ruth. At the very end of part 2 last week, towards the end of chapter 2, the last verse I read, literally, Naomi calls Boaz their guardian redeemer. Now, I didn't explain any of that last week. I just kind of let that sit there. But what's interesting is this idea of guardian redeemer is at the epicenter of the entire story of Ruth. And remember, when you read an Old Testament story, you're looking for the New Testament concealed in that Old Testament story. And the New Testament story is about Jesus, the church. When you read the New Testament, you're looking at the Old Testament revealed in the New Testament. And again, the New Testament is about Jesus, the church. And all of a sudden, we get introduced to this idea of the guardian redeemer. Now, the guardian redeemer, it was part of the Old Testament law. And I simply just wrote these 2 things. It's about land and sons. Now, the land comes into the Old Testament law because God wanted to provide a framework that if you lost your land, you had to sell your land, you didn't have the money to keep up your land, if hardship hit your family and you just sold off all your land, that you weren't just forever destitute. In fact, in Leviticus, it talks about the year of Jubilee. Every 50 years, there's a whole pathway in the year of Jubilee where you could get your land back. But there's another pathway before 50 years, because 50 years is a long time, where you could get your land back. And remember, land was all about survival. If you had land, you could grow crops and animals. You could live. Not, you're in a really desperate state of living. And so the guardian redeemer, someone in your family tree, your family line, could actually buy your property and gift it to you. It was a real powerful part of keeping that family, that tribe, moving forward into the future. The other part of the guardian redeemer literally had to do with, I wrote sons, but had to do with marriage. So if you were a widower, your husband was killed, he was murdered, something happened to him, he died naturally, and you found yourself without a husband, someone down the family tree could marry you, keeping that family line, that family tribe moving forward. And now, if you didn't have kids, you could have kids with that person. So you'd have sons, hopefully had sons that would carry on your family name. Again, this is hard for us to grasp in our modern day culture, but in ancient times, this is amazing that God put this framework up to show grace to people that were, well, in very desperate times, without land, without a future. And the more you understand this idea of guardian and redeemer, the more you're going to understand the story of Ruth. And the more you understand the story of the Ruth, the more you're going to understand Jesus in the church. So where we kind of brought the story to a close in part 2, Naomi looks at Ruth and says, Boaz is our guardian redeemer. Hope is rising. Well, Ruth continues to work in the fields, Boaz's fields. And we kind of turn the page to chapter 3. In chapter 3, the storyteller writes, one day, Ruth's mother-in-law, Naomi, said to her, now we're not sure how much time had gone by, but the barley harvest and the wheat harvest had already happened. So it was a quite lengthy period of time. And all of a sudden, Naomi comes to Ruth and goes, my daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for. Now, you're seeing Naomi realizing that Naomi is getting older and older and older. The number of pages in her story are fewer and fewer. But Ruth has so much life to live. And Naomi's like, hey, Ruth, my time is almost up. So you need to think about you. You need to care for you. You got to have a future. You can't beg the rest of your life. You can't be living in fear. So you feel all of Naomi's care and love. The Hebrew word is hesed for Ruth. Just like Ruth had showed kindness, shown hesed to Naomi, you see this reciprocal effect back to Ruth. Now, what happens next is extremely bizarre. I'm just going to warn you. It is a bizarre part of the story. You're going to find yourself just feeling like, oh, there's discomfort in this story. You're going to feel the tension. You're going to feel the what's going on. Part of it is just in ancient culture and understanding the guardian redeemer, the kinsman redeemer kind of framework. Like that will help alleviate some of the discomfort, but some of it is just, it's going to feel bizarre. But I want you to lean into that. I want you to lean into the discomfort because what God is going to do in and through this part of the story is so super powerful. We're told that now Boaz, with whose women you have worked, is a relative of ours. So tonight, Boaz will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Winnowing was simply they would take the wheat, the barley, they'd throw it up in the air. The heavy seeds would fall and the wind would blow the chaff away. And Naomi was like, Boaz is going to be winnowing the barley. So, hey, Ruth, this is what I want you to do. Wash, put on perfume, get dressed in your best clothes. Can you feel the direction of this story where Naomi is directing Ruth to go, what to do, right? You can feel some of that discomfort. She goes, hey, wash, put on perfume, get dressed, then go. Over and over again in the story of Ruth, that word go is used. I mean, it is a story of action. It's a story of forward movement. It's a story of stepping into the unknown. And she goes, then go down to the threshing floor. But don't let him know that you're there until he is finished eating and drinking. Hey, Ruth, hide out in a corner. Find a dark corner. Don't let anyone know, especially don't let Boaz know. And when he lies down, note the place where he is lying. Then go, it's going to get bizarre, and uncover his feet and lie down. Now, in the Hebrew, okay, all of the discomfort in this moment is even elevated when you understand what the storyteller in Hebrew, the words that they chose to use for this moment. Let me explain. When the storyteller goes, then go uncover his feet and lie down. In the Hebrew, there's several meanings to these words. And all of them are kind of sexually charged words. The word uncover literally means to just uncover, like uncover feet, but it's also often used to uncover your bodies in a sexual way. The word feet could literally just mean his feet, or that word very often is used as kind of a sexual euphemism, innuendo for a sexual body part. The word lie down can mean simply to lie down, or often it was used as a sexual act. So the storyteller, on purpose, intentionally, is creating all of this discomfort in this storyline. And then Naomi finishes by telling Ruth, he, Boaz, will tell you what to do. And how does Ruth respond to this entire plan that's filled with so much discomfort? We're told that Ruth simply says, I will do whatever you say. So Ruth goes. She hides out in the corner. She waits in hiding. And we're told that when Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. He turned, and there was a woman lying at his feet. Could you imagine that moment? He had to be like wiping the gunk out of his eyes, going, what's going on? I mean, the room was dark. They didn't have Alexa-enabled devices. And he asked, who are you? And listen to how Ruth replied. She goes, I'm your servant, Ruth. It's a reply of humility. It's a reply of confidence. Humility, I mean, she just calls herself a servant. But over and over again, leading up to this moment, Ruth is referred to as a Moabite from Moab, a Moabite from Moab, a Moabite from Moab. This unwelcome foreigner. But in this moment, she doesn't use that as a descriptor. She just, with her confidence, just says, I am your servant. And then she said, spread the corner of your garment over me. Yeah. There's three important insights when it comes to what she's saying here. The first one is this. It's just very practical. It's a cold night. Boaz had a blanket on. She didn't. So it's just practical. It's like, hey, I'm cold. Will you share your blanket with me? It's also an image of protection. Back in chapter 2, Boaz says to Ruth this amazing phrase about a blessing, Lord's blessing over her, that God's wings would be over her. It's an image of protection. And all of a sudden, Ruth kind of flips that statement around and says, hey, will you just spread the corner of your blanket over me? It was a statement of protection. But then she says a third thing. And this, again, is going to feel a bit bizarre. She goes, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family. Literally, this was a marriage proposal. She's proposing. She's like, hey, we lost our land. We both lost our husbands. Naomi's too old. But I'm available. Will you be our guardian redeemer? Will you buy back our land? Will you marry me so I can have sons, so that Naomi's family line can move forward into the future? And how does Boaz respond? He goes, the Lord bless you, my daughter. Again, over and over again, Boaz puts God number one, then a term of such care and love, such hesed kindness. He calls her his daughter. He's like, the care that I have, that I would have for a daughter, I have for you. The love, the hesed, the kindness that I would have for a daughter, I have for you. And this kindness, he said, this hesed is greater than that which you showed earlier, meaning the story that everyone had heard about Ruth and the kindness, the hesed that she had showed Naomi. He goes, this is even greater than that. You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people in my town know that you're a woman of noble character. Although it is true, it's like a light bulb went on. He goes, although it is true that I am a guardian redeemer of our family, there's another who is more closely related than I. In the Old Testament law, right, it was all about, there's kind of seniority, basically think about that. And he realizes there's someone closer than he is. And he goes, and in the morning, if he wants to, this other closer relative, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, good, let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. He promises to step in to be the guardian redeemer. Lie here until morning. So Ruth lies there until morning. In the morning, Boaz gives her more grain. Ruth makes her way back to Naomi. I don't think Naomi slept a moment that night. Her heart had to be racing, going, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen? Ruth walks in with all the grain, shares the story with Naomi, and Naomi says, wait, my daughter, until you find out what happens, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled today. And that's where we're going to pause the story. And we'll pick it up next week. Now, in part 2 last week, I shared with you that as I got done reading through, studying that section of the story of Ruth and Naomi and Boaz, I simply wrote on my piece of paper, Seize Each Day. And I shared with you that the church unleashed to reach everyone. Because Jesus, the church, we're looking for the story to be concealed in this Old Testament story, right? That God so desperately wants everyone to know his kindness, his hesed. I also shared that we should seize every moment to be the kindness, to be the hesed to everyone, and be willing to receive hesed. And this whole idea to seize each day gets tied to this next part of the story, both in the Old Testament story of Ruth and Jesus, the church, being concealed in this Old Testament story. And so I just simply wrote down, ditch the comfort zone. Ditch the comfort zone. Remember, we want comfort. But the spiritual journey isn't filled with comfort. It's actually filled with discomfort. It was Joshua. Remember, Joshua gives this impassioned speech right towards the end of his life. He goes, hey, fear God, obey God, serve God, fear God, put God number one. Hey, God has a framework for us to live by. Live within that framework, obey God, and serve him. Serve him. Do these 3 things. And all of a sudden we turn the page. Joshua dies. We open up to the new story, Judges. And the people didn't do any of those things, except we discover in the story of Ruth that's taking place during the time of the Judges, that there was a few people that actually were fearing God, putting God number one, obeying God and serving God. And it's the same call in our spiritual journey to this day. This hasn't changed at all. If you're a Christ follower, this is the framework. To fear God, to put God number one, to be in awe of God, to worship God, to obey him. That God has given us a framework for us to obey. That our faith journey is about forward movement, about going, about obedience, and to serve him. And here's what I know that's true. There's 2 things in the spiritual journey that can create the most amount of discomfort. That my prayer for you, that you choose to ditch the comfort zone and just live spiritually in a state of discomfort. These 2 things aren't, it's not about picking one or picking the other or choosing like, I like this one, I don't like this one, or go, well, this season I'll focus on this one, I'll ignore this one. No, these 2 things are intricately connected together. The first one is this, is your time. How are you serving God with your time? How are you? Do you feel some discomfort? Let me create a little bit more discomfort. Just open your calendar. How much time, just this last 30 days, last 60 days, have you leveraged to serve God's kingdom? Remember, Jesus said, The kingdom is here now, and forevermore. But it's here now. So many Christians are waiting for heaven one day, and God's sitting up there going, no, it's now. My kingdom is now. Join me in what I'm doing to tell all people about my son Jesus. Now, the church is about kingdom building business. Now, join me, God is saying. It's like, hey, there's hope and healing that can only come through the church, which is filled with a bunch of messy, imperfect people, pointing people to a perfect, holy God. How are you joining God with your time? This is real simple. Just look at your calendar. I was raised in a family, and my dad worked, my mom worked, right? 2 parents working full time. We played sports. We had sports activities. We had school activities, all of that. And you know what the priority was? Always was serving the church. It was always the lens that my mom and dad, when my sister and I would say, hey, can I play? Can I participate? And they're like, hey, church comes first. They always put time serving God number one. I was raised in that. And guess what Kim and I did with our kids? They were raised serving God through the church, both inside the walls of the church and outside the walls. How are you serving God with your time? Are you at all? Are you just giving him your scraps? I hope that creates some discomfort. God has given you one life to live, to be a part of his kingdom impact, his kingdom movement. How are you serving him? How are you serving him? Second one, your treasure. Simply your money. The Bible word is the word tithe. That word just simply means 10%. That literally is the bottom rung. To give God 10%. It's not my words, by the way. It's God's. And this is so simple, like your time. Time, you look at your calendar, your treasure, you giving back to God through the church, because the church is his vehicle. He set in motion to tell everyone about Jesus. Just look at your bank account. How much are you giving God? What percentage is it? Do you even know the percentage? And I want to encourage you to give to the place where you feel the discomfort. Jesus framed it this way. He goes, where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Jesus over and over again talked about the number one thing competing for the number one spot for your heart. That's your number one spot, your heart. God needs to be number one, but the number one thing competing for that number one spot, to fear God, to honor God, to worship God, the number one thing, you know what's coming after that spot? Is our treasure of money. Just is. So the only way to keep God number one, to fear God, and oh, by the way, God commanded us, that's obey, to give the tithe from the first fruits, is to give back to God first. Just look at your bank account. How much have you given God through the church? And I'm saying that so specifically because the church is a vehicle God set in motion. It's his strategy. It's his framework. I didn't come up with it. At the end of the year, when I'm doing my taxes, I always see the number that Kim and I have generously given to the church and through other great nonprofits. And I'll tell you, 2 things erupt within me when I see that number. Always discomfort, because I see the number, and we give generously. I just want you to know, not always. We were convicted years and years and years ago, and then we obeyed God and started giving because someone challenged us, and it created discomfort. And we took a step of obedience and faith, and we haven't stopped since. But when I see that number, it creates discomfort, because I see the number. I'm like, oh, that's a big number. And then I smile and say, but God, it's yours. It's yours. It's yours. And I want you to experience the joy in the result of the discomfort. I want you to experience the joy. Your time, your treasure. Are you going to fear God with it? Are you going to obey God with it? It was the summer of 2016. We had never heard of Du Bois. We hadn't heard of Tri-County Church. And my wife and I were just in that season of searching, wondering what was next. We sat down at a coffee shop and in Lock Haven, and we came up with a list of 5 things for the next church that we wanted to be a part of, the next kind of ministry season that we were praying God to open up the door for us. And this is what we wrote down. Number 1, play a role in the radical movement. We had been fortunate to be a part of a couple churches that would put underneath that umbrella of a radical movement. And we're just looking to be part of something that big, God-sized type of movement. Number 2, be part of a dynamic vision that wants to reach to everyone. We were going to be part of a church that their front doors were so wide open for everyone. The messier, the better. Doesn't mean your backstory, doesn't mean what's happening now. We want to be part of a church that understands that the church is for everyone. Number 3, unite with a team built in unity, creativity, and hearts to serve. Number 4, be in places that aren't easy to be reached but need to be. We'd spent time in Vegas, New York City, South Florida, places, hard soil, difficult to reach, but guess what? Needs to be. And so we wanted that. And I remember, before I get to number 5, I remember looking at those first 4 going, okay, God, this is just who we are, what we're called to be. And there's always discomfort in those 4, but we had learned to be comfortable in those 4 specific areas that have some discomfort. You know what I mean? Like there's discomfort there, but we have kind of gotten used to that discomfort, so now it kind of felt comfortable. Number 5 is where we felt the most amount of discomfort. Now, on the surface, it's going to feel kind of stupid, but let me explain. Here's what we wrote. Must have a Starbucks. For us, this was like kind of the cap of the city size. The city had to be so big to have a Starbucks. The community, the town had to be so big. We did not want to go to small town. We did not want to go to a town that did not have a Starbucks. Not because, we thought the Starbucks was end all be all, but just it reflected the size of city. And we just kind of said to God with a laugh as we wrote that one, oh, God, we're big city people. And all of a sudden, a few months later, we discover Du Bois and we discover Tri-County Church. And all of a sudden, we found ourselves saying yes to step into the discomfort of small town. Why? Because the other 4, the important 4, Tri-County Church checked all of those boxes. And all of a sudden, we stepped into a small town, and all of a sudden, we started to discover how much we thoroughly loved living here. Our girls thrived here. And then, only like God could do, 9 years later, 9 years, a Starbucks comes to Du Bois. And Kim and I, we just smile. Because God knew exactly what our family needed. And He knew where we needed to be. My encouragement for you is to step into God's discomfort. Step into it. Lean into it. Embrace it. Be okay with it. Because it's in that space where God's going to mold you, shape you, and point you where to go. Let's pray. Lord, I just thank you, and I just ask that every single person will not run from, not lean away from, but literally will embrace the discomfort that you're churning within them right now. That, Lord, they'll know that you want them to be part of your movement, the church. Hope and healing that needs to be had in countless people's lives. And God, you just take people like us. For that, we celebrate you. In your name I pray.